What's up, guys? This is going to be 5 quick tips of things that you should know before you go to Ecuador. My first tip, you're next. Be ready. My first tip is learn some Spanish because, in my opinion, out of all the Spanish countries I went to, this was by far the least amount of bilingual people. And they don't need to speak Spanish or speak English. It's not their job. But I will say even in the hotels and resorts and stuff like that, we did have some language barriers for sure. Obviously, if you have Google Translate, maybe you can download an offline version or something like that. But that being said, learn some Spanish, at least the basics, or have some information ready. Number two
is don't bring big bills. I brought nothing but $100 bills, and it was really difficult to find change, so you do want to bring cash. They pretty much only operate with cash. I would bring 20s, maybe even smaller than that.
Absolutely. Number three, realize stuff takes time, okay? If you're trying to get all the way across Ecuador, it's going to take a significant amount of time. If you're trying to book a tour or find a restaurant or find a place to stay or anything like that, it takes time. Understand that allotting extra time for what you're going to do is probably a good idea because things take longer than they did in America. If you want to go 20 miles down the street, maybe it's not going to take 10 minutes. Maybe it's not going to take 15 minutes. Maybe it's going to take an hour. Number 4. I'm stealing Mima's because I want her to go next. But I had one really quick. Number 4 is maybe if you're not super familiar or you haven't been to a certain place before, we had this problem. We ended up falling in love with Baños, hated Galapagos, and I'm not saying that like hated, like it was the worst place in the world, but we both simultaneously, in my opinion, probably would have loved to have stayed in Baños instead of going to Galapagos. But we had flights booked, we had hotels ready, and stuff like that. So maybe if you don't know a region or anything like that, and you're more flexible with your time, don't book the other thing and see if you like the first place first because you might end up staying there longer.
Number 5. 5 is more Galapagos specific, but it's something I think is really important. If you are planning to go to the Galapagos, in which case you would have to go to Ecuador first. That is the gateway to the Galapagos. If you do go to the Galapagos, do a tour, take a tour. If you don't take a tour, you are not going to see anything, and I believe you might be highly disappointed with what the town itself has to offer. We stayed on the island of San Cristobal. It was cool, but it wasn't anything we hadn't seen before. It kind of felt like Mexico to us, which is fine. But if you want to see all those things, the dolphins, the turtles, the birds, you have to take.
And number 6, just because of the hell of it, talking about Galapagos, I don't want to say we hated the Galapagos. Galapagos is basically a glorified Rocky Point. The thing about Galapagos is you gotta get the hell off the land. You have to go around and do a 360 tour, and we'll link up in the description below. If you don't do that, you're wasting your time. Like, it was $150 a person, and I'll be honest, we were scared. We were like, it's a lot of money or whatever. The lunches, it's okay and stuff like that. But in all honesty, the tour itself is absolutely mind-blowing. You get to see some really cool, epic stuff. And for the price, for the money, it's definitely worth it 100%. Also, you can't get around, okay? You are strictly on a bicycle or cab rides. You are going to be cabs, bicycles, and or walking. Get your fitness in before you go there if you plan on doing any bicycle stuff because I'll be 100% honest, it was rough. Mima was able to get up pretty much every single hill, but I'm a bigger guy and I had a really hard time getting up those big hills. That being said, there is what's called the Highlands. We never got to experience that. That's where the giant tortoises are and stuff like that. We didn't get to go there. Because time-wise and stuff like that, it just made sense to do what we had done. There are some very affordable places there, so there was great things about Galapagos, but if you don't leave the land, you're going to not like it. Like, you need to go, and yes, there's sea lions, yes, there's crabs, but you need to get out there and go on a tour. Trust us. We'll link all that in the description below. Thanks for watching.